All right, here we go with an important story on internet use and also video game use as well. Let's talk about the difference between addiction to video games and addiction to the internet. You see so many people who are attached to their phone these days. Are they addicted? There's a lot of disputes out there about who is addicted, if people can get addicted to technology. Here's the deal. If you can't put your phone down, does that mean you're addicted to your cell phone? We've got people who say they're addicted to video games. They're addicted to technology as well. Lots of studies out on this as well. Let's talk now about internet and gaming addiction. And I've got a great guest for you to talk about that. Daniel Marks is an addiction counselor at the Last Door Recovery Society in Vancouver. How you doing, Daniel?
I'm great. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for coming on. When you speak to your clients, how many people are coming to you and saying, hey, I'm addicted to the internet, I'm addicted to video games?
Well, we're definitely seeing a lot more people suffering from media addiction these days.
All right. What are the symptoms? How do people know if they're addicted?
Well, I mean, there's multiple factors in whether or not somebody has a media addiction. Not being able to complete tasks that they're setting for themselves, missing school, especially for the younger generation, not being able to show up for school, not being able to take care of themselves, improper diet, and then as they get older, maybe into their 20s, struggling with showing up for work, even being able to hold a job down.
Okay, the Canadian Psychiatric Association does not recognize internet addiction as a disorder, correct? Yet there are treatment centers devoted almost specifically in the United States and Canada to internet and video game addiction. So I guess, is there a clear-cut definition or any kind of consensus about whether this is, in fact, a real disorder?
No, the jury's definitely out on that. I mean, we see it more and more as there's more different outlets of media, the social networking and video gaming and all the stuff that's out there. So, I mean, when we're dealing with addiction, we're trying to help people heal all different areas of their lives.
Okay, can it compare in any way to, say, addiction to drugs or addiction to alcohol? Is it similar?
I think so. I mean, my one of the questions I ask when I'm screening guys is, whether they have it, especially for alcoholism, is whether they have DUIs, whether they've lost their license because of their drinking, which most guys have that I work with. And now with this new rule out about the whether or not you're allowed to use your phone when you're driving, I've got guys that have 4 or 5 tickets already just since that new law has been acted because they can't get off their phone when they're driving.
Oh man, they're that hooked.
Well, I mean, yeah, for some.
They just can't put the phone down. What about video game addiction?
I mean, obviously there's I've worked with tons of youth, a handful of youth that really struggles with World of Warcraft, with Call of Duty, who just can't get off. They can't get to school. They can't finish any of their basic needs in their life, any of their basic duties.
Right. Now, there may be a lot of people listening. I mean, this has become just sort of a fact of life in our society that we're all plugged in, we're all wired up here. A lot of people have wireless devices on their phones, and we use them all the time. I mean, personally, I'm using my phone all the time, every day as part of my work.
Yeah.
Does that mean that people are, what's the difference between someone who's addicted or someone who's just part of a wired society? That's just the way it is now.
Everybody's different, what makes somebody an alcoholic and somebody not an alcoholic, I think in the end the person has to decide for themselves if they're having, a problem, if they we really push awareness to get awareness over, what's okay for yourself and what's not. And, we've developed a program there where we, teach awareness signs of addiction. So, addiction's really the same. We look at addiction to alcohol and to drugs and to media and to sex all as the same thing, and then address it accordingly.
Okay, what kind of program do you have? How do you help people?
Well, we are an the last door is at long-term residential treatment center. Okay. And over the last 5 years, we've been screening people for all different forms of addiction. I mean, back in the day, it was just your basic hardcore alcoholics, hardcore junkies. And now it's really addiction we've gained a lot of awareness over how it can manifest in all the different areas of our lives. So, I mean, we start by abstinence. You know, there's no TVs. We take the phones away from the guys in the beginning. We give them a chance to have a reprieve from all the addictions and just to heal for a bit. And then from there, we have a peer support model. So there's, you know, group counseling, group therapy that they do with a group of other gentlemen that are all, you know, trying to address all different forms of addiction in the same manner.
Okay, for someone who, say, come to you for help because they feel they're addicted to the internet, they're addicted to their phone, they're addicted to video games, do these guys, you say, like you said, they go cold turkey, I guess, do they go through a withdrawal phase?
Yeah, absolutely. Just like the heroin addict and the alcoholic go through a withdrawal phase. Absolutely. I mean, come on, you probably feel it yourself when you go on vacation and you switch your phone off, and you can feel that. Like, I wonder what I'm missing out on, my emails and it's that same feeling, but obviously times 100, right?
Right. Okay, here's what we'll do, Daniel. We'll take a break at that point, come back and talk more with Daniel Marks about this issue. Now, let's get the phone lines going here, because I'd love to hear from people. Phone me up and tell me what you think about this. I've heard some people say, video game addiction? Come on, this can't be true. This is just a bunch of slackers who just don't want to stop playing video games. Is it really an addiction? Phone me and tell me what you think about that. Hey, if you've got an issue like this yourself in your own life, maybe you feel like you're addicted to online. Maybe you're addicted to the internet. Maybe you feel like you got a problem with video games, or someone you know does. Phone me up, tell me your story, ask your question. Here's your opportunity to talk to an expert. 604-280-9898 is the number to call. Toll free, 1-877-399-9898, star 9898 on your cell. Your call's next. We're talking about internet and video gaming addiction. 604-280-9898. Hi, Sherry.
Oh, hi. I just wanted to say, I think it's just that the mental health hasn't kept up with the times. I have a daughter who definitely struggled with that for about 2 years. She had social anxiety, so it was really easy for her to stay in her room and never leave and just play her games all the time, and that's all she did. She didn't have any friends that she could physically go to. Yeah. And, all she wanted to do was lock herself in a room and play the game. Mm-hmm. And, it was really hard. It wasn't until she actually got a job that she started leaving the house, and then she sort of started having friends. But even then, she still plays more than I would like.
How old is she?
Now she's 19.
Okay. What do you think, Daniel?
It's definitely something that I see often with the guys that I work with, where they have like a anxiety disorder, or maybe might be suffering from some depression, so they use the media as an outlet, just like many of the other guys I work with use drugs or alcohol as an outlet.
It's too easy for them. It doesn't force them to have to learn to cope, because it's too easy to lock yourself in a room and not really have to deal.
Were you able to get her some help, Sherry, or what did you do?
I did. The school was great. We got counseling. She saw a therapist. They practiced doing some cognitive behavior therapy where she'd learn to talk to people. So we did, and it did ultimately help. Like I said, and getting the job was a big deal. Forcing her to have to leave the house and have to socialize with people made a big difference too. And she worked hard at it too. One time she went cold turkey off the video games, and it was bad. Mm-hmm. She didn't know what to do. Her whole identity was wrapped up in all this fake stuff, and she didn't know how. And there's a lot of kids like this. It's a real problem, and I don't think people are aware of how big and widespread it actually is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we definitely see a lot of success with CBT, and we're able to go cold turkey with the guys, but only because what we have in place. I mean, it's shocking for people when they have their whole world stripped away from them.
Yeah.
Okay, Sherry, thank you for calling in. I'm glad to hear your daughter's doing a little better there. Let's go to Ben. Hi, Ben.
Yeah, I'm in the social work field. I was just wondering, with all the recent research, is there on addictions, is there an assessment tool that is in a well-rounded, it'll pick out almost any kind of addiction or addictive behaviors that is more or less like a ticky box, or is it too subjective to each person's addiction and personality?
Okay, Daniel.
We definitely have some tools that the government have put together, but it is pretty subjective. Like, I mean, everyone I've encountered has different forms of things that they struggle with, but there is a few tools that that kind of will cover it all, but won't tell you specifically what they're struggling with. You know what I mean? Like we have a gains short screener that we use that can give you an overall, the areas of life that we can help evaluate. And
okay, for someone who's listening, for example, let's say someone who's listening and they think maybe they've got an issue, or someone they know, maybe their child.
Yeah.
Right. What's a warning sign that maybe they could look for?
Withdrawing, absolutely, like withdrawing from the community, like the previous woman was talking about.
Yeah.
Her daughter just locking herself away. I mean, isolating and withdrawing from the previous, activities they enjoyed and social behavior.
Right. Okay. Let's go to Vicky on the open line. Hi, Vicky. Vicky.
Thank you.
Yeah.
My
ahead.
problem is alcohol, and my husband is fixing.
Doing drugs.
Yeah. And he never did it before. He's got a high-profile job. And how I'm dealing with it right now, I either drink or I just sleep all day. And I've never been like that before. I really, really don't know how to deal with it.
Okay, Vicky, you sound like you're in trouble.
I am.
Yeah. Daniel, who should she call? Where can she call to get some help? Because she sounds like she's in a desperate situation there.
Really.
What area are you in? What city are you in?
Langley.
Are you in Langley? I would call Alouette Addictions right now and talk to one of the counselors there. I know if you guys...
Yeah, what I'm saying?
Yeah. There's some people, there's lots of help out there for you. There's a lot of hope out there for you, so...
All my life I've just been like everything. And now I want to sleep or drink.
Mm-hmm.
Because my husband is like a high-profile job. I'm scared he's going to lose his job.
Okay, Vicky. Look, listen.
What?
I want you to listen to me carefully. You need to phone and you need to get help. Okay.
I know that, but there's nobody there.
Okay. She should. You mentioned the Alouette Addiction Recovery Center, Daniel.
Yeah, there's an outreach called Alouette Addictions that she can call right now.
Okay, so Vicky, here's what I want you to do. I want you to stay on the phone line here, and as we go to the commercial break, I'm gonna get you that phone number. Okay. So I want you to stay on hold, and over the commercial break, I'm going to get you that phone number. All right. So make sure that you have that. Daniel, I want you to. I want to thank you for coming on the show. Thanks a lot.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Daniel. Daniel Marks, the Last Door Recovery Society. Let's take a final break. When we come back, Jessica Garris, the producer of the Bill Good Show, next. All right, time to check in with Jessica Garris now, the producer of the Bill Good Show. Hi, Jess.
Hi, Mike. Well, people are fired up about the latest example of the Liberal government using civil servants for partisan purposes. We talked about that off the top of the show today. And, of course, the BC Liberals want to tap into ethnic communities for votes. There's, nothing out of the ordinary with that. But people seem to be especially fired up by the fact that they're doing it with civil servants, as the leaked documents showed. But this listener thinks the BC Liberals weren't doing anything wrong at all.
I have to tell you that these brown envelopes are just coming from a bunch of troublemakers that are supporting the unions. It's all these union workers. And I would think that the Liberals have done nothing wrong. And I don't think any political party wants to go out and blatantly do anything wrong. And I think that these government workers, especially any union or healthcare worker or nurses union, they're all about sinking the Liberals, and they want to support the NDP. So they'll do anything they can to make sure that happens. And I think this is a conspiracy on their part.
All a big conspiracy, Mike.
Well, I don't think this stuff is coming from the unions. A lot of this stuff that was released by the NDP yesterday was very high-level, sensitive political material that was being sent back and forth on private email lists in the Premier's office. So, the unions would not have access to this stuff. I mean, I think there's a leak. They say that a sinking ship has a lot of leaks, and I bet you there'll be some more leaks here. And I think it's more of a whistleblower thing than anything else.
It was a highly confidential email, so I don't see how. I agree with you. I don't see how the unions would have got their hands on that.
Right, but you made the very precise point that it's not unusual that any political party. Of course not. Of course, you're going to try to engage in all communities to try and get votes. I mean, that's just natural. The issue here is whether you're using taxpayer resources, public funds to do it. That's against the rules, and the Liberals have been caught with their hand in the cookie jar again because they've done it before.
Yeah, I mean, you've written a few columns on this topic.
It's not new.
I think the last one was the attack ads, right?
Yeah, there's attack ads going on. I mean, our newspaper wrote a series last November about how the government set up an anti-NDP website on the public's dime, and I encourage people to follow me on Twitter, Mike Smith News on Twitter, Smith with a Y, and I posted that yesterday. Go and check it, read those documents for yourself, and then say whether you think this is okay. They're using the public's money to do this stuff, and it's not right.
Okay, well, it'll be interesting to see what tweets you get from that.
Yeah.
And we also had a heated discussion about slowpokes in the fast lane, and here's what Ed had to say.
Yes, slower cars should move to the right, but we should be increasing the speed limits by at least 20 kilometers an hour. That would solve a lot of problems. Plus, when you're at a stop sign or at a stop light, when it turns green, don't take all day to get up to the speed limit. Get there quickly. And, and the car that's in front of you, push them along.
Thanks, Jess.
Thanks, Mike.
Jessica Garris, I'll meet you back here tomorrow. Take care.